Hello fellow FPL managers and welcome to this week's FPL video focusing on Game Week 24. Now remember, the games are midweek fixtures next Tuesday and Wednesday because this weekend is the FA Cup, and also keep an eye out on those cup fixtures and results from now on in the cups, because we will now start to see when are we going to have blank game weeks and double game weeks. So if you're ever online or on Reddit or anything like that, when you see BGW, that's blank game week, and DGW double game week, okay, just as an FYI for you there. So keep a lookout on those FA Cup fixtures and results. So for today's video, we'll be looking at my Game Week 23 predictions, which are above me right now, having a review of that, how my team performed, my transfers for this coming game week, as well as the starting lineup, and finally we'll be looking at the players to pick, avoid and take a risk on for Game Week 24. So as for my Game Week 23 predictions, you can see just behind me, they were pretty on point for Game Week 23. So Alonso took just 1 point from Arsenal in a game where Chelsea looked far below their average. So much so that Sarri made some pretty damning comments in the post-match interviews about how he will stay on, but he doesn't think that he can motivate these players. Mentally, he said that they had a problem. So that'll be interesting. Maybe there'll be some changes in the next coming game weeks, but we're not too sure yet. Maybe he's just trying to motivate his players with a little bit of psychology there, but that's something maybe to keep an eye out if you've got any Chelsea assets. So Kane as well turned out to be an obvious miss for the game, but please remember that my videos are early in the week, and at that time when I made the video, he wasn't definitely out until March. And finally, everyone's cheap defender hero Wan-Bissaka couldn't stop Liverpool's productive attackers, earning 0 points at Anfield in what actually was a really cracking game, and fair play to Palace, they really played their part in that game. My key player to pick from that week was the informed Paul Pogba, and he grabbed another goal, albeit it was from the penalty spot, but if anything that adds another plus into the Paul Pogba column, because if he's also the #1 penalty taker, that's just another reason why he should be in your fantasy Premier League side. So he grabbed 8 points, getting a goal at home to Brighton. Salah and Sane were my other two choices, and both in my own side, and they both did excellent work over the weekend. The most captain player, Salah, took 15 points, and he was my own captain as well, getting 2 goals in a great game against Crystal Palace. Meanwhile, Sane put in a man of the match display away at struggling Huddersfield, picking up 12 points, getting a goal and an assist. And for my risky players to pick, only Rondon actually returned anything of note with an assist at home to Cardiff in the Magpies win over the Bluebirds. But Pereira got 3 points. He just over more than blanked, I guess, because they got a clean sheet against Burnley, whilst Lamella only picked 2 points at home, away against Fulham in their last gasp Winks winner at Craven Cottage on Sunday evening. So going over to my team now, again, we've had a pretty decent game week. 73 points, green arrows pretty much across the board, despite my defense and my goalkeeper doing absolutely nothing this weekend. Richarlison is a key topic of conversation as he heads back into his second part of the season slump. And many people are losing patience with the Brazilian. I would be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to take him out of my side as well. I had the idea of swapping him out for Jason Puncheon, benching Puncheon, and upgrading Kamara to a 7 million striker and going for a 4-3-3. It would be a 3-4-3. That would be the formation that I'd be going for. But I am going to stick on to Richarlison just for now, because they've got Huddersfield away next week. And if he cannot get anything against Huddersfield, then he has to go because he's becoming a liability. Hazard is another one in the danger zone for me. And again, a lot of other managers are losing patience with the Belgium. Is he going to play false 9? Is he going to be back on the wing? And he's not scored highly in games where he was expected to do so. So against Palace, against Southampton, against Newcastle. Yeah, I'm going to, again, show some more patience in him, especially if Chelsea do pick up Higuain, and that'll give Hazard a striker who he can actually give assists for, someone who you believe is going to get, you know, who's going to take the chances that Hazard is providing. Because underlying stats wise, he is still providing for the team when he was on the wing anyway. So he does do better when he's on the wing and not as a false nine. And if he can have Higuain up top as a clinical finisher, then we might see Hazard back. And for me, he's still too good to drop. Richarlison is good, don't get me wrong, but he's a 6.9 million asset. But Hazard is now, I believe, is worth 11 million. He's actually price dropped, but I still don't feel like there's anyone really to replace him with. I could take out Firmino and put Mane in, but I quite like having two of the three Liverpool attackers. I don't want to take out Trent, who might be back soon. But as of now, I can't feel like I can replace Hazard with anyone of note across my midfield. Another future issue for me here could be Sane. Many people believe the return of Mendy will spell doom for the in-4 winger. If that does turn out to be the case, then I'll probably just do a straight swap for Sane to Kevin De Bruyne, who looks like he's almost back to full fitness, and he actually played 90 minutes away at Huddersfield. And for this week's transfers, it's short and sweet. There isn't one. For the first time I don't think I've ever had a non-transfer game week in recent memory anyway, but I'm making no changes. Like I said in my video last week about my wildcards, I've used that wildcard to set me up nicely for at least the next few game weeks, to give me 2 free transfers to work with. So my players have good fixtures this week, and therefore trusting in my team in game week 24 will allow me to get 2 free transfers for game week 25 should I need them to sort out the likes of Sane, Richarlison, Hazard, or any other problems like injuries or transfers, something like that. So the starting 11 for this game week 24 has Patricio in goal at home to West Ham United. His teammate Johnny stays on at the back alongside Deeney. Away at Huddersfield, he got that own goal. He was really unlucky, but obviously that's nowhere near enough to get him out the side. He should be a real danger away to Huddersfield. And then Alexander-Arnold at home to Leicester. Now, I know he's still got a flag, and we have no idea about the young Liverpool lad. First, he was out for 5 game weeks, then he was out for 4 game weeks, then he was going to be out for 2 game weeks, and then Klopp was having him in contention for the Palace game, the match just gone. So with Milner suspended as well, so another defender down at Liverpool, and the ever-changing prognosis of Alexander-Arnold, I am going to keep him in the starting 11, and if he doesn't play, I'm more than happy with Wan-Bissaka and Bednarek, who are playing against each other in the weekend, to jump in, because Wan-Bissaka away to Southampton is not a bad replacement for Trent, and if there's any other injury problems, Bednarek at home to Palace, again, is not a bad idea. So I'm thinking I'm not going to transfer him out. I'm going to hold on to him. And I'm thinking he might miss, even if he misses 2 game weeks, that's fine. But he should be back in the next 2 weeks. I'd be surprised if he isn't. So the midfielder, my midfield has last chance Richarlison away to Huddersfield and thin ice Hazard at Bournemouth. A worrisome Sane at Newcastle with Mendy coming back. It might still be too soon for Mendy, but he's got a week and about 3 days to recover to get back in the start 11. I don't know if he's going to start straight away. It's Pep. You know, we don't know what he's ever going to do. And then alongside them, we've got 2 massively informed players in Salah and Pogba. So speaking of inform, up front, we've got Rashford, who's been in very good form. And he's playing alongside Firmino, who, again, I feel like I've been unlucky because a lot of people backed Kane. I believe a lot of the top 10k have actually backed Harry Kane. And I didn't. So I quite liked being sort of the differential in that part up front, where not many people backed Firmino, and more and more people backing Rashford because of his current form and the fixtures. But it was like, I believed Kane was going to not score high very often, like getting double figures in his game weeks. But now all of those people have gone from Kane to Aubameyang and Firmino. So it feels like my sort of big fish in a little pool feeling has now sort of shrunk, because there are so many people now on Firmino and Rashford that it's not as lucrative as it was a few weeks ago when those owners were still on Harry Kane. But that's just the way it is. But anyway, that leaves Button on the bench with Wan-Bissaka first choice, Bednarek as second, and Kamara as third. So finally now, let's take a look at my Game Week 24 predictions on who to avoid, pick, and take a risk on for the up and coming game week. So for my player to avoid, I'm going to pick Eriksen. His ownership has gone up by actually about 100,000 managers in recent weeks, and he did grab an assist against Fulham. However, I still feel that without Son and without Kane and without a reliable front man, because Llorente, he'd scored yesterday, albeit it was an own goal. I do feel like it's going to be more difficult for the Danish playmaker to get those assists, and I'm not going to rely on his goals. I think he's got 4 goals all season. He is a great free kick taker, and he's usually on point for his assists, but without that outlet, he hasn't got Kane, he hasn't got Son. I think he's going to kind of struggle a little bit there. And for 9.3 million, and with the other top teams having easier fixtures, I think there are better options out there than a 9.3 Eriksen. My 2 sub choices are pretty hard to choose from this week because, like I just said, most of the top sides have actually got nice fixtures. So first of all, I'm going to go by players that they've been selected by. So Fraser of Bournemouth. Now, he's selected by 22.3% of FPL managers, and people might want to choose him because they're at home. Bournemouth are at home, and they're against the out of sorts Chelsea. But I just feel like the Blues are going to be too strong for the Cherries this game week. And also I'm going to go with Trippier. Kind of similar reason to Eriksen. Well, the Spurs defense has not been anywhere near as consistent as it has in the last few seasons, partially due to injury or just not being on form. But for me, if you've got a premium 6 million plus defender who you think might struggle this week, Trippier for me would be top of the list. And it's getting a little bit mean to constantly pick out Alonso as the worst premium defender to choose from in the last sort of 10 to 15 game weeks. But yeah, if you do have Alonso, I'd probably avoid him or even consider selling Alonso at this point. So my player to pick this week is going to be Aubameyang, and that one hurts. Just like I said before, it was Kane and Aubameyang. They're the 2 premium popular strikers. And then as soon as Kane got injured, it was just so easy to go, okay, Kane, Aubameyang, done, click, set and forget until Kane comes back. And I think that's going to punish me that I'm not going to have him, especially because, well, for the last 2 game weeks, Aubameyang has blanked. However, this up-and-coming game week has the Gunners at home to a weak, slow, and leaky Cardiff defence who just got battered 3-0 by Newcastle. And if that isn't a morale killer, I don't know what it is, because I think the last time Newcastle scored 3 goals in a game, it was like 1967. So that's a fake fact, by the way. But yeah, if you're going to back someone, it should probably be Aubameyang this coming game week. And my 2 side picks, I'm going to go for Hazard and Richarlison. My 2 players with their heads on the blocks, and I'm going to put my head on the block with them. It's all or nothing for all of us, all 3 of us. Hazard is at Bournemouth, Richarlison is at Huddersfield. And it feels like the perfect time for these 2 players to come back and redeem themselves over their FPL shortcomings in the last few weeks. And just as a side note, of course, the likes of Salah and Liverpool attackers would be here as well. I just feel it would be pretty easy, a bit of a cop-out each week if I just sat here and said, pick Mo Salah, pick Mo Salah, pick Mo Salah, when he's the best FPL player, arguably the best Premier League player right now, and the most expensive. So I'm not going to always have Salah as my out-and-out choice here because it's obvious, but not many people can afford him. It's either you've got him or you've not, right? So, but it goes without saying, just assume pick Mo Salah if you've got him. Obviously, I don't need to say this every single week. So the player to take a risk on for me this week is Danny Ings. Someone who I had actually when he was in form by accident. He was my backup striker. I think he was what Kamara is to me now. Or he was my second choice sub. He was rarely actually playing for me, but he got a few points. He was all right, but he's back now. 5.5 million, return from injury. Southampton are coming into a good bit of form, and they're at home to Crystal Palace. And that is a side that, despite the fact that they fight very hard and play quite well, they still like to concede goals. On the flip side, because it's Southampton at home to Crystal Palace, I'd also take a look at Zaha, with the striker looking a little bit more dangerous in the last couple of game weeks, getting a couple of assists. And this week, again, facing an improved side, fighting hard, but still conceding goals. So I'm thinking there's going to be a couple of goals at Palace and Southampton. this coming weekend. It's a really close match. I wouldn't actually want to bet on this game because I think any of those teams could get it. Finally, I'd take a look at Mitrovic. Fulham do put a fight in at home at Craven Cottage. Mitrovic, I now believe, is the captain, and he is hot and cold in terms of FPL, but Brighton, again, are another side who are notorious for conceding goals, and I could see the big Serbian picking a goal up or even an assist with Schürrle on one side and a more match fit Ryan Babel on the other. So I think they could be the choices for this coming game week. So that's it for this video for this week, reviewing game week 23 and taking a look at game week 24. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments below, who do you think will pick up the most points this game week, and what do you think I should do about Richarlison, Hazard and Sane? I'm thinking I'm going to hold on Sane until he actually does get dropped by Pep because of Mendy. Hazard I'll keep a little bit longer because I can't feel a good premium replacement at the moment, but Richarlison's head is on the block. If you're going to Huddersfield and you can't pick up a goal or an assist, I would start to, not just in FPL wise, as the Everton manager, start to consider what is going on with him, because we've had this issue with Richarlison before. He explodes out of the blocks, and then the second half of the season he dies down and then picks up towards the end of the season. So it's looking similar to that again. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for your support, guys. It always does mean a lot, and as always, have a good one.